What are the benefits of putting castor oil on your face? Castor oil is having a moment yet again, this time over on everyone's favorite app, TikTok. Castor oil, people claim, has yielded all sorts of benefits for their skin. It's cleared up their acne, it's smoothed out their wrinkles, cleared up their hyperpigmentation. When it comes to TikTok, there is no shortage of bold claims, but is there any truth to all of this castor oil hype, or is it just another passing fad? It's not a passing fad. Castor seed oil has been utilized in skincare and makeup and hair care for a long time. Whether it be something that people use as a quote-unquote natural product, just going to the store, picking up a bottle of castor seed oil and utilizing it in their skincare or hair care routine, or in products that are formulated with castor seed oil and or some castor seed oil derivative. Castor seed oil comes from a flowering shrub that is naturally found throughout India and various parts of Africa. However, worldwide, it is produced on an industrial scale for the purpose of making castor seed oil. Castor seed oil is rich in fatty acids, especially something called ricinoleic acid. Ricinoleic acid, if you look at the structure of it, it actually looks very similar to something called prostaglandins, which are physiologically active lipids in our body that have hormone-like effects. And for this reason, castor seed oil, namely through the ricinoleic acid, is of interest for a variety of potential outcomes for the skin and for the hair, as well as for internal application. Castor oil taken internally, it's a laxative. So if you ingest it, it's safe, but you're going to be visiting the toilet. Castor oil may also stimulate uterine contractions. These two things may be related to the fact that ricinoleic acid, again, looks an awful lot like a prostaglandin. Castor seed oil is produced by solvent extraction, pressing and cold pressing the seeds of the castor oil plant, and you end up getting this very viscous yellowish oil. Let me know in the comments if you have ever used castor oil in your skincare or your hair care. If you have, you know firsthand that it is really thick and really viscous. So much so that I find it actually kind of difficult to spread on the skin without a lot of effort. It's utilized widely in skincare and cosmetic products. You'll find it especially in a lot of eye makeup and eye makeup removers. It's also widely found in a lot of lip care products because it is super moisturizing. While it's an emollient, which emollients, as a reminder, primarily soften and smooth the skin surface, because it is so thick and viscous, it does a pretty good job reducing what's called transepidermal water loss, meaning it can keep the skin hydrated. In skincare, makeup, and hair care products, it's used because it has surfactant properties. It also is, again, moisturizing, and it helps with the formulation of emulsions, which are basically mixtures of oil and water. Castor oil has antimicrobial properties. It is antifungal, and for that reason, it may be beneficial for treating the scalp, for reducing fungal infections. Potentially, you could theorize maybe it's helpful for cutting down on acne because it's antibacterial. And again, with acne, you have a little bacteria that lives in the pore called Cutibacterium acnes, and that's what breaks down your sebum, your oil, and leads to flares of acne. So maybe, just maybe, it's helpful in that regard for acne, and some of the hype around it is not entirely false, but keep in mind, we don't have good randomized control trials or really actually any studies on castor oil for any particular skin benefit. Speaking of acne and skin benefit, one of the other properties of castor oil is that it does have antioxidants. Specifically, it has tocopherol and tocotrienols, which are forms of vitamin E. You'll recall from my video on the benefits of putting vitamin E on your skin that vitamin E is an antioxidant. And what it does is it helps to reduce oxidation of lipids in your skin. That oxidation happens when you're exposed, say, to environmental aggressors. Ultraviolet radiation being like a major aggressor, but also pollution, visible light, infrared radiation. Those things can oxidize lipids in the top layers of the skin, triggering an inflammatory cascade that can contribute to premature skin aging and the formation of wrinkles. So while I am highly doubtful that applying castor seed oil gets rid of wrinkles permanently, in theory, because of the antioxidants, it may help slow down or lessen premature skin aging. It also may help in slowing down the oxidation of sebum, which can be a really helpful thing for people who have acne, because sebum, the oil that the oil gland makes, people who have acne, they tend to make a lot more sebum. That sebum oxidizes, it's inflammatory. The sebum also gets broken down by the acne-causing bacteria, leading to more breakouts. Oxidation of sebum, in theory, may be minimized via the antioxidants in castor seed oil. And when we put antioxidants on the skin, it's a lot of good faith, because it's not simply a matter of put antioxidants on your skin and all of these things happen, right? They have to, A, get in, and B, they have to kind of be at the right place at the right time. The timing makes a difference. And so those are a lot of unknowns in that regard. But the other potential benefit of applying antioxidants either from castor seed oil or, in your skincare products, the idea that they help improve the levels of your skin's own antioxidant systems, which get depleted when we are constantly, exposed to all sorts of aggressors. Compounds in castor oil are anti-inflammatory. This is going to be beneficial likewise for acne. While it's not directly known to correct any type of hyperpigmentation, melasma, one can imagine that anything that is anti-inflammatory as well as moisturizing is going to aid in the clearance of hyperpigmentation, provided, of course, your skin is not being exposed to unprotected sun exposure, or you don't have any kind of ongoing skin problem flaring, creating a lot of inflammation. So in theory, I suppose it could help, especially if the person has gone from being someone who never uses any kind of moisturizer or any kind of skincare and now is regularly moisturizing the skin. Remember, you guys already know this, but when you moisturize the skin consistently, the overall skin tone and luminosity is a lot brighter, because basically the stratum corneum, the topmost layer of the skin, it's holding onto water much better, and through light scattering and space filling, everything appears brighter, smoother, clearer. Castor oil is also something you will commonly encounter in lip balms, lip care products, and this makes a lot of sense. It's an emollient, so it can soften chapped lips, but also may help in reducing water loss. The lips are an area that are very vulnerable to dryness, to becoming chapped, because A, they are high exposure territory, like especially in the winter with the cold winds, or just a lot of sun exposure hits the lips. The thing about your lips is they have very little to no stratum corneum. That's that water holding outermost protective layer. They don't really have much of that. So they're a lot more vulnerable to barrier disruption and losing water, becoming chapped and dry. Castor seed oil can soften and smooth that, as well as help reduce water loss, keeping the lips hydrated and reducing dryness and irritation. You can also, of course, develop dryness and irritation from saliva, as well as, lip licking. Those are common triggers. Check out my video on chapped lips. I talk all about causes of chapped lips in that video and how to get rid of it. It makes a lot of sense that people putting castor oil on their face, on their lips, are going to appreciate smoother, softer lips. I want to caution you though, castor oil is not a treatment for any skin disease, and there's no research, truthfully, on castor oil for correcting any kind of skin problem. So everything that you're hearing on TikTok or on different social media, posts, blogs, interviews, what have you, is anecdotal. Makes sense. I mean, it's an emollient, right? But is it any more magical than any other emollient? At this point in time, scientifically speaking, we don't really know in terms of how it performs in the skin. But it definitely has a lot of beneficial compounds in it and makes sense that people appreciate improvement. The other side of things in terms of claims for benefit that you have heard a lot of, and I've touched on this in other videos, but you may be wondering about it, is castor oil something that can be used to grow hair? A lot of people say that when they use castor oil on their scalp, they get an improvement in hair growth or reverse hair loss. A lot of people also turn to castor oil as a natural lash serum or brow serum for lash and brow growth enhancement. Does it work? Is it worth trying? Here's what I can tell you. A, there's no research to support the claims that people make that castor oil grows hair. Although ricinoleic acid is an awful lot like prostaglandins. And as a reminder, one of the treatments for hair loss, as well as a prescription lash enhancement that can also be used to grow the brows, is bimatoprost, a prostaglandin analog. So in theory, if it has a prostaglandin-like activity, if it gets into the follicle, in theory, perhaps it could impact hair growth, but we don't have any research to support that. The main benefits, in my mind, for improving hair, whether it be lashes, brows, or hair on your scalp, or hair on the rest of your body, maybe the beard area, is that it's going to reduce hair breakage, especially for like your lashes, or if you have a hair type that is prone to breakage, more fragile, especially up here, the little baby hairs. Maybe you have been doing tight hairstyles and you are developing a lot of fragility of the hair shafts, breakage, something called traction alopecia. Well, castor oil, it's so viscous, it really coats the hairs and it almost acts as like a second layer for the hair shaft to help cut down on breakage. A lot of people will experience sparse eyelashes and breaking of the eyelashes when they use a lot of different types of lash cosmetics, whether it be the magnetic lashes or false eyelashes, lash extensions. The glues that are used to adhere different lash cosmetics can be very irritating to the eyelids and end up causing brittle lashes and lash breakage and poor lash growth. So a lot of people might turn to castor oil as a natural remedy for that and note substantial improvement. And it makes sense. It makes sense that it would cut down on lash breakage and help ultimately with improving the health of your lashes, especially after using a lot of lash enhancement, things that can lead to lash breakage. As far as applying it to the scalp, I already touched on the fact that, if your hair is vulnerable to breakage, then castor oil, depending on your hair type, might be a really good option. For other hair types, especially if your hair is more fine, castor oil, again, it's very viscous and you're going to find that it's a little bit too much and it ends up weighing your hair down and looking greasy. But for other hair types, it works out really, really well and is something that has been widely used for many, many, many years. The other reason why I think a lot of people appreciate an improvement in hair with castor oil is really that it creates the illusion that the hair is thicker because it's coating the hair. So you may feel like you have an increase in hair thickness, but whether or not it's just an optical illusion from the coating of the hair strands, to be determined. We really need to do some good research on castor oil to substantiate the claims and figure out what the best way to use it is, the best formulations, the best doses, how frequently to apply it, so that we can really, help people out in terms of hair loss, because hair loss is very distressing to go through, and it's something that people spend a lot of money trying to go after different remedies. So yeah, we basically need more research. While castor oil is safe, what are the downsides of using it? What can go wrong when using castor oil? Probably the main risk of using castor oil, whether it be applying it to your face, to your scalp, to your brow bone, to your lash line, as with anything that you put on your skin, you can develop contact dermatitis. Specifically, you can become allergic to castor oil, and that's actually more common than you might think. People do develop castor oil allergy, and after they develop the allergy, then they can't use it anymore. Every time they use it, they'll get a rash, a reaction. And it's the nature of allergic contact dermatitis. It is such that it's to something that you have been using already. So a lot of people won't make the connection that they are now allergic to castor oil because there's a delay between you coming in contact with it and the rash appearing. And it's something that you probably used for a while prior to your immune system one day deciding it no longer likes it. So you definitely can become allergic to it. It's more common than you might think. Castor oil allergy or allergy to its derivatives, because it is widely used in personal care products and in cosmetic formulations. You also can develop an irritant contact dermatitis. I mean, it is very thick, very viscous, One concern I've always had about using it to the lash line is that because it is so viscous, perhaps it could impede outflow from the little oil glands in your eyelids and make you vulnerable to styes, which are not pleasant. They're basically like a pimple in your eyelid. So irritation, of course, is possible, but you can become irritated by pretty much anything you put on your skin. The other thing is, some people develop itch, swelling, very rarely hives when using castor oil. Not common. Then the other risk with castor oil, super rare, like I've never actually seen this happen to anybody, but it has been reported, is with using it in the scalp, in the hair, you can develop what's called felting. Basically, the hair, and this is something that you would worry about more like with a very more fine hair type, the hair becomes matted together because it is very viscous, so the hair just kind of sticks all together and mats and becomes very unmanageable. And the treatment at that point is basically to cut the hair. So that is not something I have ever seen clinically, but it has been reported. So it's another, thing to be mindful of. But by and large, yes, castor oil is safe to use, but just be aware of the fact that allergy to it is possible, maybe more so than you might realize. The allergy, the irritation, those are things, again, that can happen with pretty much anything, but they definitely do happen with castor oil. They can happen at any time, including, if you've been using it already for a while. So how do you put castor oil on the face? Like I said, it's pretty viscous, so you may have a difficult time spreading it on the skin surface. You may want to dilute it with a bit of jojoba seed oil, another emollient that is thinner in consistency, allow it to spread on the skin a little bit better. Be very careful with your castor oil that it is fresh, I suppose is the best way to describe it. You don't want to use any type of oil that is old because it can, turn on you and become very irritating. But just be aware of how long you've had it. Don't store it in a super hot, humid environment. Try and keep it in a cool, dark place, away from direct light, just to preserve the shelf life of it. If it does turn and you use it, then irritation and allergy is a lot more likely. You're a lot more likely to develop an allergy to it if it's kind of turned. And you're definitely more likely to develop irritation from it. So that's everything about castor oil for the skin and hair. And it is a laxative, but don't do it without discussing with your healthcare provider, because a lot of people, there are a lot of reasons to be constipated, to have problems with going to the bathroom. So you want to make sure you talk to your healthcare provider about what exactly it is that's going on before going after castor oil. But on TikTok, like I said, things that you can't just say something basic like, yes, castor oil is moisturizing, be aware of contact allergy, and it may help cut down on hair breakage. That's not gonna catapult you ahead in life on TikTok, unfortunately. So people on there make some really wild, unsubstantiated health claims that are very dangerous about castor oil, like that, it will get rid of tumors, treat all sorts of health problems, and that is not true. That's not accurate. Anyway, y'all, let me know in the comments if you are a fan of castor oil. Do you use it in your skincare routine, for your hair, for your scalp? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.